Hello, Virgo. How's everybody doing today? Hopefully you're all doing great. Really, I'm looking forward to chatting with you today. Had some really great messages coming through, not only in dreams, but also this morning in the channeled writing. A lot of messages here about teamwork, symbiotic relationships, adaptability. So I think that there's going to be some really important messages on how to thrive in the next couple weeks and months ahead. So first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. If this is your first time here, you're in for a great reading. I kind of have a different approach when I look at the month ahead for all of us. It's not just focused on love, it's also focused on personal growth. In fact, first and foremost, because I think all of that inner work ultimately helps us with opportunities around us, including relationships. So the brighter we can shine and the better we can be, really, again, everything in your life starts to sort of flourish. So let's talk a little bit about the format, and then we'll get into all of the messages for the month ahead. First of all, like I said, my name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. You can use this for your sun, rising, moon, also for other aspects of your chart if you're really well-versed in astrology. So it works for Venus as well. And you can watch on behalf of other people. You can also cross-watch. And I have a lot of folks here that will come at the beginning because every group of channeled messages, anybody that shows up in the room, these messages could resonate for you. The reading is sort of tuned to the sign, so today it's for Virgo, but honestly, and each and every one of the readings that I do can contain messages that will help you out. So feel free to stop by anytime you just need some clarity. I'm here for you, and this is a really welcoming crowd. So the way that I organize it is in 4 parts. I start off with channeled messages. You have a lot that we're going to look at. So we start with those channeled messages at the beginning, and those come through dreams, meditations, and visions. Basically me and my clairvoyance and my guides. And then I work with the cards in the second portion, and I kind of divide that into 2 subsections. So the first part will be whatever needs to come through. Again, it's not just your person, it's not just work, it's whatever needs to come through in your life. And then we will look at the expanded forecast to make sure we do hit on those areas that I know you care about. And I've picked 4 main areas, which are health and well-being, love. Actually, it's usually health, wealth, love, and then destiny. So the destiny is sort of like your overall trajectory of things. After we do all of that, I do a mini review, and we go a little deeper into 1 or 2 of the areas that could either be a significant opportunity or a potential block so that you can overcome it, so that you can grow. We'll meditate, and then at the very end, I will do a final card. So, because this is a general reading, you can't always ask your question. In fact, I don't take questions. That's one thing I should say when I'm doing this. The super chats and super stickers are very much appreciated. Thank you so much. But I don't take individual questions, but you can save it until the end, and I pull a card that I interpret both as a yes, no, and then also as sort of a more detailed answer. So stick around or come back at the end, and you can get that final question answered when I pull it. And that is the format for today. Welcome to my moderators, Maria and Dakota. They're here to help if you have general questions. As I said earlier, Super Chat is a great way to show support. There's actually like 3 ways that you can show support. 4, if we count the easiest. So if you're new, don't trust the algorithm to help you find me again. Click the subscribe button if you like what you see here. First of all, it just lets me know that you're out there and you like what you're looking at. It also helps with discoverability. Any type of engagement that you do with this video, whether it's a thumb up, a subscribe, or opting into the bell icon, also commenting later, all of these things are kind of like helping it get up there in the rankings. So you guys have been great about doing that lately, and keep on doing it because it helps the channel grow. You can also become a channel member if you'd like. There's a join button there. And of course, during the live, you can use stickers, and on replay, you can use applause, which is right by the thumb up and the share button. So those are all ways to show support. Okay, thanks everybody, good to see you. Let's talk about what's coming through. I like to always begin by going to nature and dreams in this case too, because I saw it in both. And today you're gonna have a dual totem. We're gonna be working with the woodpecker, but also first and foremost with the Saguaro Cactus. And I had to look up the pronunciation because it's not what it seems like. Saguaro is what I think it is. If I'm wrong, forgive me. This is a really gorgeous cactus, and I actually wanted to show like this old picture. They can live to be up to 175 years. This one I think was even older than that. So they can kind of get massive. And what was really cool as I was reading about it is that they're homes to a lot of different wildlife. We'll be talking about the woodpecker here in a second. And this is the one that's kind of responsible for opening up all of the little holes that you'll see on that cactus. If you're ever in parts of Mexico, Arizona, and California, you might see some of this cactus and this little guy causing trouble. What's cool though is those holes then later become a habitat for owls and even some non-indigenous birds that found their way to the desert, like these African parrots. And I didn't get any pictures of it, but also certain types of reptiles in the desert, like lizards and things. So what we see here is this symbiotic relationship, because as a sort of way to thrive in the desert, the Saguaro cactus had to become hospitable in this inhospitable place so that bats would help pollinate it. We talked about that in another sign recently, and all the insects and everything. So basically they want to get their flowers pollinated, and then they have things like the birds come through to disseminate the seeds as well. So they welcome this, and they can actually kind of create a little bit of a callus around the woodpecker opening, and usually it's not enough to harm the cactus. So there's this teamwork. So that's the first message this month, is that teamwork, especially unlikely partnerships, could actually allow you to thrive. So people with whom you normally wouldn't work or find yourself partnering with, it may be advantageous to explore these relationships, because although you can do it on your own, you're going to be a lot more efficient if you work with someone else. And so the combination, the dual totem, and this one really is a symbiotic one between the woodpecker and the Saguaro cactus, is saying that together they're stronger. And the cactus provides a safe space where these birds that, not just the woodpecker, but the other ones that come into their deserted little burrows, they can be safe from predators and things like that. So I like this. I thought it was really cool as I was researching it. So let's start with the cactus first. The Saguaro cactus symbolizes longevity, persistence, and adaptability. I think by definition, all cacti really fall in that family, because the little spines on them, or all of the sort of things that are pointing out, those are like modified leaves, and then the stems are really the center of the cactus. As I was doing research, they have the ability to kind of contract and expand. The wrinkles that you see on a cactus, they can swell out when there's a rainstorm. So this is such an important symbol for where we're at in our life right now, because 2020 was really a year where a lot of us had to contract a little bit. And the roots that we put down now are so important. One of the things that I was finding out as I researched this is that they have one deep tap root, but they have this really big, wide network of shallow roots that they put out their network. And I think that's going to be so important for all of you right now, is to stay strong, stand tall, and to weather the storm or weather this sort of desert that we've been through, but keep putting those feelers out, that network out. So if you're job searching, I get that there is going to be a period of, like, we're in the springtime here in the Northern Hemisphere. And so things are going to start to move. We'll see rain, we'll see growth, we'll see abundance. Let's talk a little bit more about the cactus. I'm getting ahead of myself, and I'll go into those sort of those footnotes in just a second. Like I said, this cactus can live an average of 150 to 175, even sometimes over 200, like that picture that I showed you. And it's thriving in an inhospitable zone. It's in the desert where there's not a lot of predictable rain. So it just waits it out sometimes, and it grows a little bit each year and you don't see it. More at the beginning and then less as it gets older, I believe. But either way, it takes a long time to get as big as some of those pictures. It reminds me of the Nine of Pentacles, because at the foot of that card, you hear me talk about it a lot, there's a snail. Slow and steady wins the race. But ultimately, that is a symbol of abundance, right? Growth. But growth doesn't always happen as, like when we're kids, we see growth happen quickly, right? And it's noticeable. You're not fitting into your clothes and things like that. As an adult, most of the growth is happening within, in our heart, in our mind, in our spirit. And we see areas of our life where we're growing, but we may not actually pay attention to how far we've come. So slow down a little bit, take store of that. I mean, that's basically what a cactus does. It stores everything up, and know that you're going to be strong enough. Just like these gentle giants of the Sonoran Desert, you're going to be asked to rise up and stand tall. And in a different way than we recently saw a different kind of, this reminded me sort of as like in the plant kingdom of the giraffe message that we got for Aquarius last month. But this is different, because This is sort of like really standing tall and standing your ground, putting down some roots and really saying, this is what I want to do, right? So there's much more of a commitment that I was getting with this particular totem. So it feels like in your life right now, it's important to stand tall and strong and proud. And part of that is going to mean that you're sticking out from the crowd. So for those of you that feel like you're wallflowers or you're unsure, this is a time where you're going to have to push through that a little bit, because other people are looking up to you. And I'll talk about that in a second. Please have confidence in yourself and your work. Actually, here's where it is. Others need or want that. And maybe you have the capacity to do something in a way that they couldn't imagine it being done. So don't underestimate who you are or how you speak or whatever, because just the fact that sort of like things aligned and you're supposed to be the channel for that to happen. In my book, I talk about like a mortal channel. I think in each of our lives, we all are sort of set up for moments where we're going to shine. It feels like you're getting set up here for a moment of growth or expansion or visibility. So just trust that however you present yourself, that's exactly the way it's supposed to be. I didn't have time or table space to talk about this, but one of the other sort of supporting visions that I had and dreams was a alternative universe where I saw a different version of myself that made different choices. And I've mentioned before that I wasn't in like a super supportive school as a kid. And I just saw that this person didn't get what they needed, the support or the understanding. They were well-intentioned, but they couldn't quite get where they needed to be. And I was really grateful that things had come together the way they did in this lifetime and in this universe. So no matter where you are, realize that there could be someone that's going through something in a much more challenging way in an alternate universe. Or if you just imagined the choices that you made brought you to this moment, to this reading right now, where you can now start to make even better decisions. It's always about what you do with today and how you're shaping tomorrow. Not worrying about what could have been, not even worrying about alternate universes. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. I just woke up when I had that dream with gratitude that I had done better than I thought, because sometimes we're all hard on ourselves, right? And I just thought, no, this is exactly, everything worked out. Timing wise, decision wise, it was all for the right reason at the right time. So I'm giving you that encouragement as well. Grow a thick skin and make some fast recoveries. I was talking about the ability for a cactus to callus up if an insect, or especially in the case here of the woodpecker, gets into the fleshy part. Almost immediately it starts to callus up, and then it doesn't sort of like suffer from that. It just keeps pushing, keeps growing. So for us, we're going to be asked to move past a scar in our life. It could be rejection. It could be failure. It could be a situation where you just feel like it's not working. So this is just saying callus up a little bit and keep pushing, because later you may look at that. And I've said before that rejection is sort of a blessing from the universe. It helps us from going down a path we shouldn't. And I was gifted in my vision of seeing for myself what that path might have looked like. And I thought, nope, this is it. I'm glad. I have no regrets. So you shouldn't have any regrets either. Just make smart choices moving forward. As I said, looking at the root system of the saguaro, they have a shallow but massive root system. They send down like one deep tap root, which just kind of is a straight one that goes down like a carrot. And then they have this big network that's as wide as they are tall. So for you, you should be reaching out right now. Reaching out, not just for work, but for love, for friendship and all of that, because it's the network that symbolically, and I would also say symbiotically, is going to help you thrive during all types of periods in your life, when things are going really well and when things are not going so well. So be the support group for others if you're in a really good place in your life right now. The reason that the root system is shallow for the saguaro cactus is because rain is not abundant, and so they need to be close to the surface. But that closeness is what I focused on for the next message, which is I believe that for many of you, help is closer than you think. So just pick up the phone or send an email and think of people that you've connected with before, and don't be afraid to reach out and to express whatever's on your mind, whether it's that you want to talk to someone or maybe you have something that might help them, whatever. I feel like, again, making the connections, keeping them, and not being afraid to just connect in the first place is important. We've gotten kind of bad over the past year at how to communicate, right? Because we've been sheltering in place. We've been limited in movement. I was noticing when I walked my dog the other day that I smiled, and I'm like, the person doesn't even see me smile. You can sort of see the eyes change a little bit, but I had a mask on and I was smiling to someone, and I had to audibly say hello just because I knew that I thought, what would it be like if we never could see our faces anymore? Like if that was permanent, you wouldn't probably the way we emoted would change. You wouldn't just flash a smile at a stranger. So let's not lose that ability to connect. I think it's important. Some of us may be sort of shutting down a little bit, but think of it more as dormancy, like the cactus can kind of go in. I think it's time for us to kind of grow. We have to keep growing. Okay, we can't go too far inward. I did see like a new opportunity within reach, but you are going to have to reach for it. And just like this whole cactus metaphor that we're looking at, it could seem weird. It may be like an odd fit for you, but maybe there's something really cool about how this could connect you to the next opportunity or how you could grow. So try to embrace what it is. I think it's going to be really cool. Okay. Remember now to persevere. One of the best parts of like cactus in general, or cacti rather, is that they can kind of survive anything. If it's felt like you've been in a desert of opportunity, looking for work, looking for love, looking for happiness, don't give up. Because I see something really great around the horizon. Last year, the end of last year, I had a dream where I was looking at the calendar flip. And for me, the growth period was 2022 to 2026. So we have this nice 4-year period that we're about a year away from, but it's coming. So this is the year to put down the taproot and that network of roots that I was talking about, okay? Let's move on to the symbiotic second symbol here, which was the woodpecker. If you're stuck, this is kind of like the architect of the, well, one of them. I can also think that like beavers would be the same if you're thinking of like water. But when we're looking at air, when we're looking at birds, this is a pretty good builder. And maybe they're not necessarily building, but they are creating spaces. And I like that. So if you feel blocked, you have to push through it. If there's not a door that's open or a window that's open, you may have to be the first voice. This is really important when we think of changes that have to happen socially. When we look at gender equality, LGBTQ equality, racial equality, all these things that are happening right now. Sometimes you have to be like the woodpecker and break through bias and break through the walls. So don't be afraid to speak up and be loud like the woodpecker is until you are heard. I remember when I was on the East Coast, I would hear them sometimes, but I visited Arizona too, and I remember hearing them there. But when there's a woodpecker in the distance, you can't not hear it. It's basically, it'll even wake you up sometimes. So there's something cool about the persistence and the sort of the volume of its voice. And I think that don't underestimate your ability to, sometimes maybe it's annoying people, but they need to hear it. They need to listen. They need to look. And so that's what you're doing there. When we're looking at homes or places of living, because this came through as what I was seeing as focusing on the fact that they're inhabiting the cactus. Some of you might be looking to renovate, to move. If you're moving to a new house or if you're thinking of selling, I really want you to do an inspection because the holes in the wall, that's what I'm seeing with that. So just make sure that there's nothing that's sort of gone into disrepair. And definitely if you're buying something new and not constructing, you want to make sure that foundations and walls look good. So get someone that can inspect the electrical wires, the plumbing, and then just the integrity of the house as well. Okay. As I was saying earlier, there was a cool thing when we were looking at the elf owl, I think it is, and a couple other kinds of birds that I can't remember their names, but these deserted homes that they create then become homes for others. So what I was looking here at is that, again, that advocacy note. Maybe you can open up a window, a portal, an opportunity that not only benefits you, but will benefit future generations. Basically leaving this a better planet than we found when we got here. That should be the goal, because we're going to come back. I think that recycling and sustainability and environmental advocacy would change if people knew that they would have to live here in another 100,000, 2,000 years. We keep coming back. Why do we want to make a mess that we're going to have to live with? So anyway, you should be trying to make it better for everyone around you. Future generations, if you don't have kids, and yourself, because you're going to be one of those future children anyway. All right. As I said, there's no way you can't be heard as long as you use your voice. It's a choice this month, and just keep using it, okay? Though that kind of concludes the totem portion now for the dreams and visions that I got in addition to this. So let me set up how the next column of messages came through. What I saw all of last night, it kept coming through again and again, is teaching. So I feel like many of you are in a point in your life where maybe you're either going back to school or you've called in a really big karmic lesson, and it's a tricky one in the relationships that I was seeing. So this is really about not giving up and then maybe identifying the lesson so that you're not forced to kind of repeat the lesson. Because what I saw basically happening was there was a teacher that was fatigued, that wasn't connecting with their class, and it was a first day and they were burned out and they were like, there's the fire alarm. Should I just pull it and go home? And they didn't. They pushed through and they found a new way to connect. And then things started to totally shift. So I actually wrote that I don't want you to pull the fire alarm or throw in the towel or walk away from a tricky situation. This is a test, is what is coming through it. And it is a teaching opportunity for you. You called in this lesson. Oftentimes when we have sometimes the most uncomfortable part of our life, whether it's like needing to quit a job, divorce someone, talk to someone who has betrayed you, do something where it's really about fighting for yourself or owning up to something or facing a fear or advocating and saying, I will not stand for this. It's scary. It's easier to pull that fire alarm, right? And just walk away and have like a sick day. But what Spirit told me was, don't do it. It's not worth it. You'll either get caught or you're just cheating yourself at the end of the day. And even as the teacher, you can cheat yourself of that lesson. So it feels like you have a chance to stand up and to show others. And so oftentimes in karmic lessons that we receive, the second time around, you're in the position of power. So I feel like the fact that I saw you as an authority figure, teacher or principal, you have a chance to lead where in the past, perhaps you were told what to do and it wasn't right. So maybe there are other people around you that don't support that. We'll get to that in a second. I think who cares, basically? You're going to have to push through it and change. When it came to connecting with others, this could be your child. This could be your lover. This could be your coworkers, or literally, if you're a teacher, it could be the students that you're overseeing and connecting with. Whatever you were doing, it wasn't right for the group. Because they looked bored, they looked agitated, and they also felt like they weren't being heard. So in the sort of vision that I have, it was like Cyrano de Bergerac, the guy that got fed lines basically through someone else. So don't have someone like feeding you lines. I use cards here, but I just glance at them and then I go on my own tangents. So that's kind of a good way if you are teaching, is you can write something to jog your memory so you don't forget, because I had so many things I couldn't remember it if I didn't put it on the table here. But I don't read from the cards directly. So speak from your heart. The script is good to have, but I took a couple of cool classes when I was in high school that have helped me my whole life. But public speaking, this is kind of what you would do. You would just have some cards. You would write this really cool speech. You would try to memorize it, and then you would just put some cards together with the bullets. You wouldn't necessarily read the speech if you were going to have just sort of what we're doing, a coaching session. If you're a politician or if you're giving a very important speech, you can read from a teleprompter, but you should already have it memorized. It shouldn't be your first time at the rodeo if you're doing it. But with the kids or with the people, with whoever this sort of lesson is, this is all that matters. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be honest, real, and connected to where they're at. So much better to be authentic than to be perfect. Perfect can be boring sometimes, right? So also, like, whoever showed up there, they still want, what I got is that they really want you, even if they're trying to, this is in the case of a coworker or a teaching situation. If somebody in your life pushes you away, but they need help, keep trying with them. Kids do this a lot, especially kids, but it can also happen with siblings and friends and even coworkers. If you know someone needs a hand, give them a couple of chances to say no and try it in a different approach. Because the second time it succeeded, they just wanted to test you and kind of test your mettle. Are you really here for me? Or are you just kind of like part of everything else that's gone wrong? Sometimes people get jaded. So you're going to grow the thick Sonoran skin that we were talking about and be strong like the cactus and say, no, I'm not going to let that one rejection get me down. Talk with and to, but not at people. Listen. And even listen to the stuff that's hard to hear, especially that if it's about you or if it's about other things. So I think that's going to make all the difference there, is really trying to get them to open up and to let them know that that you're holding some space for them, right? The other thing that I saw was that the the word that I got in my head was conservatory. It felt like they took the class from a brick and mortar school over to this like open space where there were trees, where there were tables, where there was food. It was nice. It was welcoming. It didn't feel so clinical. So I would say one of the things that you can do is we can't do it so easily with Zoom nowadays, but you can change the mood or the tone or the timbre of whatever it is that you're talking about. And then once you can be in person again, I know some schools are allowing this now, change the environment. We're going to have to do it anyway. And I think a lot of what I'm getting here is beneficial for, you could be a student, whether you're like 18 or a college student or a young adult that's going back to school. You could be teaching kids, you could be still having your kids at home and trying to teach them. It feels like connecting with youth is going to be important. And then also if you're a boss or a leader in society, one of the things you have to do is find a new way to connect with people because it's changed. The circuitry has changed and the conduits and the tubes have all sort of changed. And so you have to find new ways to navigate here. So it's like we need a system upgrade so that we can make stronger connections. We need to clean off the circuitry a little bit. All right. And then this was the last piece that I got. And then we have a couple of other notes here, but you can teach an old dog new tricks, but you must earn its trust. And I feel like with the kids, they're the metaphor for the old dog. They just have been let down a few times. But there's people in your life where this can happen a lot. So really get to know someone before you try to help them or assume that you know where they're at. You have to sort of really get to know them and let them come to you. That's one thing that sometimes we'll see in tarot with like the Empress card in reverse or the King of Wands or Queen of Wands in reverse. You don't want to just be bossy or just be sort of demanding things. Really let the person show up and say what they need when and let you know that they're ready. Okay. Now on to the next sort of category here, which was to be more outspoken. Be bold and be unconventional. What I was seeing here is that it's almost like apologize later, but doing it with the best sort of approach. So try new things, even if you get pushback from higher ups or elders, results will win them over ultimately. And then they'll say, oh yeah, I always knew that you were going to be able to pull it through or whatever. So do it because you've done the research, do it because it's the right thing. This is especially true when we were talking about advocacy or maybe opening up doors where they haven't been before for other people. And then just trust that eventually when it's the right thing and when it's done the right way and it has the best results, people can't argue if something's doing well, right? If it's on the right path. Last vision before we get started was about a key. And this was the last thing that I saw before I woke up. I was holding the key and I snapped it. Why I snapped it, I don't know. But then I looked up to the guides and I'm like, now what am I supposed to do? And what they told me is the key isn't broken. It needed to be reforged. And then they also encouraged me to try different doors. So that's exactly what I wrote down on this. So it feels like some of you, the breaking of the key could have been for some of you a decision to walk away from something, to close something. It's like a real goodbye, like judgment and justice, and we're done. Now we're on to the Fool. We're moving on to something new. So you may have quit, divorced, or walked away from something, and it's sort of like there's no going back. So we're going to break the key so that you don't get the temptation to go back. So I guess that's one message that I could get from this, because it was of your own volition that the key was broken. And then the other thing was to just, it's kind of like the character in the Matrix, the key maker. You can make a new one. You can reforge it. And they were telling me, even if it's been broken 2 or 3 ways, all we had to do was like keyed it and reforge it. Kind of like a sword, which reminds me of Lord of the Rings. It's kind of like the one that Aragorn had. So you have a chance now to take something and do it better this time around. But I got like, why not try a different door? Why not create a door like the woodpecker, right? That doesn't exist. So there you go. Those are your messages for today. A lot of beautiful ones about being strong, because we had the Saguaro Cactus, which pushes through in a space that it shouldn't grow and does. And not only that, but it creates this sort of refuge for life and all of these things. And then the ability for you to open up doors for yourself and for others. And then also to kind of, again, being a little bit in a good way, pushing through stuff is, I think, one of the key messages this month. And that unlikely teamwork is something that I want to look at as we go into the Celtic Cross here in just a second. Okay. So let me stack up the cards. If you joined a little late, don't worry. I always go through all of these at the midpoint. And usually right then I have some additional ideas that will come through because we've seen all of the cards. I'm going to have a collective reading. I believe it's this Thursday, so you can check out my website. I'm thinking of connecting a little bit with my YouTube members and my Patreon members, and I might ask if there's one or two things that you're curious about. So occasionally I will do that for members. And if you ever think of becoming a member, that's one of the perks. If you don't follow me on Instagram, you should follow me there too. I put a lot of pictures of a follow-up, and occasionally I go live there. So, all right, let's take a look and see what's coming through for you. Just gonna put his toys back. He likes to play with his bed in the background sometimes. All right, so as I said before, this can be used for your sun, rising, and moon sign. You can also watch it on behalf of anyone in your life that may be Virgo. There's your networking. All right, let's just get everything lined up here and take a look at the messages. So first of all, thank you for giving me a moment to get everything set up. We're going to start with your catalyst card. A catalyst is a way for you to stay connected to your highest energy, to avoid any pitfalls, and to basically succeed, right? So we got another bird here. We've seen the woodpecker, we got the owl, now we have the crone here, but it's a crow as well. So the crone, if we're looking at sort of mythology, it kind of reminds me of it's like a triple goddess. A lot of times you'll see a youthful maiden, someone that's like the empress, usually a mother, and then you'll see the crone. So it's showing us the different stages of life, right? And the survivability that you have. And some of those cacti that I was showing you, especially the ones that were like 175 or 200 years, I'll pull it up again. What I'm seeing here is, again, thinking of sort of like what your long-term goals are, the long-term growth, paying attention to that sort of crone state here of this cactus. A lot of times we think of short-term return, and right now I'm encouraging you to think of what is the long-term return. And so that's what we kind of get with this. There could also be a very strong elder in your life. I mentioned that sort of pushback that you might be getting for trying something unusual. This could be like a grandmother, a mother. It could also be paternal energy. I usually try not to read gender into this, but we did get crone. So you may have a divine feminine energy in your life that is trying to, well-intentioned perhaps, but try to kind of push you down a particular path. Remember that you and you alone get to decide what's best for you. And I would say that's the important thing. Listen to yourself, listen to your guides. That's what the crow is about here, okay? So trust the voice that you have in your head. I was talking to my accountant the other day as we were doing my taxes, and he's super open-minded with the kind of work that I do. And he was talking about how he had experiences in his life where the voice mattered. Like he listened to himself, and that's how he would meet key people or have great opportunities. So it doesn't matter what walk of life you have, whether you're a doctor, an accountant, scientist, intuition and these moments of epiphany that we have, it's always there. So when I see a bird, almost any type of bird, it is a connection to either the other side or to our higher self. So listen to your voice. Crows are also pretty hard to miss, just like the woodpecker. The woodpecker, it's less the call and it's more that they're actually pushing through something. With the crow, it's going to caw and you're going to have to listen to it. Okay. You also may have an ancestor that's calling through to you. So again, if it is sort of like a grandparent or a parent that's on the other side, the communication is a little bit more open than it used to be. So that could be helpful if you're open to it. All right. Nothing negative with that card, just a sort of wake up call to pay attention to, again, the long-term path, to listen to your voice. And then also, if you need help, you can pull on ancestral guidance if you need it as well. Okay. Let's go to your center card. We have the 10 of Wands here. The interesting thing with this 10 of Wands is that sometimes it's hard to see the forest for the trees, or the light even sometimes, because it's so, you're in the thicket. So I would say, I love 10 of Wands, but this 10 of Wands can sometimes be a little murky. And so I would say you're so much further along than you're giving yourself credit for. I feel like you're just on the brink of graduating, breaking through, if it's a lesson, having this lesson sort of dissipate. And then this is a overwhelmingly good card because it leads you to a new horizon. You've done the work to get up the hill. Take a moment, look around, enjoy for a second. Like I was doing in that one dream where I could have seen, looking over my shoulder figuratively at the choices that I could have made. And I don't beat myself up anymore over the past. You're just like, well, that was that. This is now. Like I'm focusing on the here and the now. So 10 of Wands is about moving on and about not overdoing it. This is also a card where you could be shouldering a heavy burden. If you look at the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith card, it's someone who's usually leaning over. They have everything that they're carrying with them on the back. So when I look at that, it's almost like the anecdote to the having the, or the not anecdote, antidote to having that sort of stress on your back is to be like the fool and carry less. So let some of this go. Let some of the need to control or need to bring everything with you fade away as well. This is just like what we were talking about with the cactus, where the root system spread out just as wide as the thing is tall. So this one went a little deeper, but same sort of metaphor here, that you have to have. It's just as important also, the work that's not showing up, the work within is just as important as what you're putting on the exterior. Don't judge a book by its cover. It's a little trite, which is why I don't know if I wrote it that way. I don't think I even included it, but that was one of my cards initially, because you have no idea how strong someone or something could be. Sometimes the surface is very deceiving. And so the work that you're doing on yourself, or the work that others could be doing, or the support that they could lend to you, in this case, we actually see the root system being stronger and bigger than what's above ground, right? So this is the 6 of Cups. And the 6 of Cups is, for me, sometimes a chance to do something. Well, it's from the past. So this is usually relationship oriented. I would say it's a chance to repair a relationship, to revisit a relationship. Some of you may meet someone this month that it's kind of like what we see here. It's a compliment to you. It really balances things out. A nice complementary energy. I like that even better than balance. So you've been doing the work. The more you keep doing the work, the better the frequency of the people that you meet will be. So keep it up. For those of you looking for love, if you are looking for love, this means you have high standards. 6 of Cups is what we traditionally call a soulmate. I usually call a soul, like a divine partner, someone who's on the same level as you. And it's easy to be with them. And in the rest of your life, I want you to focus on the close relationships, best friends, sister, brother, sibling kind of relationships, and then maybe reconnecting with someone from the past that it's just been a while and you want to check in on them. So the core relationships in your life, the network, and that really much, that very much kind of connects with what we were talking about just a few minutes ago with the channeled messages. This network is going to be so important through thick and thin. And if I think back to when I used to do a more corporate style job, I got some of my best opportunities through a phone call, through an email from a friend who would walk my resume over, or who could just pick up the phone and say, you should talk to this person, they're a match. 2 key opportunities happened that way. I opened up one for myself at the beginning of the career, but a couple in the midpoint came through with the network. So it's going to be a combination of oscillating between you standing tall and doing it on your own, and then you also leaning on someone else or letting them in, just like the Saguaro Cactus lets in the birds, because they know ultimately they're going to eat the seeds, and then spread the seeds as they fly around, right? So symbiosis. See where that sort of reciprocity can form, and I think it'll be good. Because you shouldn't have to do it on your own. It's going to be better if you share the load a little bit, okay? You could also be moving in with somebody. This is moving, this and can be moving in, and this can be for love or friendship. New roommate, new love interest, possibly. When it comes through, I mention love, for sure. Whatever you've been doing, keep doing it. It feels like you might have taken a little bit more interest on your personal health. So I like to see the strength card in the deep past. I also love that this symbol here, this totem, is independent. It's one of the few that isn't dominated by another figure. Usually we see a woman opening up the lion's mouth, or whatever. There's different kind of animals that can appear on this. But in this case, no. It's basically holding its own ground. So you are nobody's fool. You are nobody's person to manipulate. Nobody can put words in your mouth. Sometimes you don't even have to speak. You can just be there, and it's the body language that's coming through. So keep working on your health, your personal health, and being strong, and then stand your ground. And you don't have to argue. That's one thing that I'm seeing with this line. It's not roaring. And it's also holding a beautiful white rose. It's not a red rose, and there are colors in this deck, so this is intentionally white. And the only character that really carries a white rose in tarot is the death card. So for me, this symbolizes understanding that you've come through a difficult period. There's almost a little bit of rebirth, or kind of like a phoenix rising with this one. So it feels like it's been through the tougher part, but it came through that close call, okay? And death spared it. So it feels like some of you have had a close call with a health issue. You might have had a close call in life. Maybe you just suffered some sort of a release in your life. It could have, again, been like being let go from a job, moving out of a relationship, or something that symbolized death and transformation and rebirth. But we're on the rebirth end of it here with this particular strength card. So good for you. Keep pushing, okay? We have 6 of Wands here, and now we're starting to see the rainbow. We're starting to see the success. I mean, this is a very positive card. Sometimes for those of you that are perfectionists, it just feels like sometimes it is this heavy energy of trying to meet up to expectations. I can relate. That was me as a kid. I still work really hard. But the older I get, the more I realize, like I said, it's not about being perfect. It's about being authentic. It's about being consistent. It's about being there, basically showing up. So don't feel the weight of success. Just keep doing what's right for you and keep pushing through. There's a beautiful opportunity at the other end. And that's what we see here. The rainbow's there, but you're kind of stuck in the rain sometimes. So I see success coming for you, okay? I like that a lot. All right, let's take a look at the next card here. We've got, actually, you know what? I'm looking closer at this one. This is, I haven't read in this deck in a while. This is actually 6 of Swords. If you look really close, you can see the swords. It's tough because trees in this particular deck are wands. So I want to correct myself. This is 6 of Swords. That explains why there's not more success with this. I'm like, it's murky. So what we're seeing here is, but I'm going to carry a little bit of what I said with this. 6 of Swords is about letting go. And we have the death energy here of the strength card. Some of you may have a hard time letting go because you have to be perfect, because you think this will not make you a success. So as we kind of reinterpret what this could be, what I'm seeing for you is that it's important for you to not be afraid of giving something up for the fear that there will be nothing. Because if we don't hold space for something to come in, then we can actually never succeed. So there was another deck this month where intentionally they had swapped 6 of Wands and 6 of Swords. So this is appearing a lot recently. And there have been confusing cards with this. So this is the second time this month where I've looked at it a second time and I've had to look. So I actually am paying attention to that as a synchronicity. So letting go equals success. Sometimes even if we fail, we learn something from that failure that we won't repeat again in the future. And it strengthens us. And that's the rainbow here. So keep on pushing on. I see success even through the separation, even through the loss. I read it as success when I looked at it, right? So really beautiful. I'm glad someone else does the same thing. This is, one pet peeve that I have with some decks is just put what it is underneath it, especially if you do something tricky. I love this deck, but I think that they could have lightened up the suit of Wands. Swords should be shadowy, but Wands shouldn't. Wands should be brighter. And they could have put they have this sort of color here. They could have put a little bit of a wood tone in there, but it's still a beautiful card. And this is the second time that that's happened. I have a really cool deck that I'll probably I'll be using this for Libra tomorrow, Prisma Visions. And they have a 6 of Wands in here that actually has the 6 of Swords boat in it. I was mentioning before that back in the day, before before Rider-Waite-Smith released this to the public or whatever, they switched Wands and Swords anyway. So there is actually a lot more of interplay between the two. So wouldn't it be weird if you saw like 3 of Swords as being a chance for your heart to grow, for something cool to happen, and 3 of Wands as being the sort of opportunity where pain might come in? So actually Swords and Wands were different back in the day, but they switched it so that not everyday people would be picking up on the power and the magic of the suit. But I read it as it was released to us. Just a little fun fact about that. Okay, we have the Magician here in the crowning position. Fantastic card to have. This is basically saying stay strong and really focus on your thoughts, because they have the potential to broadcast, right? This is your chance to reach out in ways that you never thought that you could before. And you have the energy of the sun too in your ego. So we see the sun behind this, what is it, cheetah or whatever. And we have this beautiful sun kind of shining through here. So what you have to do is focus on what matters this month. With the Magician, the only thing that can really pull you off path is distraction. So you have everything in front of you, but just because you have it all doesn't mean you have to paint with every color, right? Sometimes it makes sense to highlight with one, and then so in your life, if you don't want to say yes to every opportunity, you don't want to agree to things where you know that it's just unreasonable. Speak up, push back, focus, and be stronger on what you focus on. Less is more. But the Magician, like the woodpecker, nothing's going to stop this particular energy from pushing through to the other side, okay? I like what I see here. If we pay attention to the cat, it's really interesting. It's got its hands on the pentacle there, on coins or on resources, but it's facing another direction. So one thing that I'm picking up with this is let's really focus on looking for resources in unexpected places, listening, paying attention to what's around you, because what I'm seeing here is there might be a hidden resource. Only time I've really paid attention to the way it's looking and what it's touching, which is important. It's not really focusing as much on speech right now, on cups, on what it's thinking. It's focusing on the resources at hand, and also that there might be something nearby. So resource management is going to be important for you this month. All right, we have the 6 of Pentacles here, which is showing growth, and it's my bare minimum card that I would need for success. So when we look at the question, can I ... do this, pay the bills, make it work, etc.? The answer is yes. There's always an asterisk and a caveat with this particular card, which is yes, but you need to make smart decisions about what I was just talking about, not overextending. So just saying yes and no when it feels right. Ultimately, it's a growth card, and it's very good. And I even prefer it on some levels to the 7 of Pentacles, because you could even hop over this on some levels and maybe go to 8, 9, or to an ace. So I feel like you're in a really good place. Just don't overdo it, okay? You can do everything that you want to do, but not in the time that you want it. You can't have everything at once, basically, with this, but ultimately, it's a really good thing. There may be people in your life that are asking too much, or you might have to just renegotiate the terms of something. Typically, there would be scales in this card, and the person's sort of doling out coins according to what makes sense. So focus on return on investment, symbiotic, and also like reciprocity, those things. So symbiosis and reciprocity, if that exists in an opportunity or relationship, I think it's going to be really important, okay? We have the Sun card in your ego. What a great card to come through. It's upright, so there's really no negative connotations with this. This is a chance to break out. This is your charisma, it's your aura coming out. And this is a chance for you to be really strong and powerful. This wonderful strength card, and connecting now with your solar plexus and the sun here, I feel like if you stand up, if you push for something, if you really give it a go, there's nothing that's going to really stop you. So I'm excited for you, okay? An increased focus on self with this card, even if it's not reversed, it's really about you. So doing what feels right for yourself right now, it's okay. It's basically where you want to be. Making sure that you negotiate things so that you are also benefiting. It's good. It's good to be focused on self sometimes and know that people are looking up to you or looking at you quite a bit. It's a baby card too. So for those of us that are trying to birth something symbolically, so maybe this is, launching a business, getting some sort of a patent, selling something to someone, or even trying to get a job. This is a really good card. And it also indicates that moving into the summer months, we see growth and development. Okay, love it. Really nothing bad with this. If you're trying to start a family, this can also be conception, as can this. And it's saying sometimes when you least expect it, because that Ace of Pentacles plus the Sun card is totally a baby. So make sure that that's not something that takes you by surprise, since, maybe some of you are job searching and everything. Take precautions if you're not looking to get pregnant. If you're looking to get pregnant, it looks like it's a good time. For the rest of us, it's a symbol of growth, development, and delivering on like a promise or having something develop. Ultimately, it's good. All right, as we look into your environment, the only thing that's going on is it feels like some of you could have, we have this crone energy, which I said could be male or female, and we have the King of Cups or Father of Cups card in reverse, which tells me someone in your life emotionally is taxed out a little bit. It just feels like there's a lot going on. And this could be someone who's texting you a lot, emailing you a lot, calling you a lot. And it's just sort of, it's bombarding you. So this is where this comes into play. You don't have to take every call. You don't have to pick up immediately. You don't have to always do everything that's necessary there. Distance, balance, let that person also fend for themselves a little bit. They're going to be better than you think in the long run. You could also be in an environment where things just aren't what they need to be transformed. We see a swan here. So it does feel like it's something that can be turned around. I saw that with my dream. So I don't think it's time to pull the fire alarm just yet. I think that it's important to connect with the people. And I saw power in numbers, which goes way back to what we were talking about with the connection of the woodpecker and the cactus, basically. An unlikely teamwork here, or unlikely connection. So don't be afraid to get people on your side to make the change happen and to speak up to the powers that be. It's in the environment, so it's not so much you. The only thing that I would say here is that you can't ultimately make people feel or see something. You can try to connect with them. You can try to illustrate things. But if someone's too far down in their own energy, it could just be something where you need to give them some space, okay? Ultimately, that's what I see with that. If you're looking for love, it could just be a little overwhelming because with the Six of Cups energy that we saw here, this is someone, and this was kind of crossing the center card, so you could see it in either way. This could just be a lot. It could be something that kind of throws you on your side too, thinking, oh my gosh, this was more than I was intending to deal with at this moment. So take it easy. Don't go too fast in a relationship. Really get to know the person before you kind of go headfirst into anything. And I think that's going to be important, and it's going to help you in the long run. All right, let's move on to hope, fears, and opportunity. So this is the Two of Swords. I'm looking very carefully now as I'm looking at swords on this. You can clearly see. What I like about this Two of Swords is it's saying that the sun is there, but there's just this moment of, we have an eclipse up here, right? So don't lose sight of something just because you can't see it, or don't think that something isn't there just because it's subtle. With the Two of Swords, it's almost as if the universe wants you to just make the choice. It's not going to make it black and white. It's not going to make it crystal clear. This is where free will is important. This is why this is a fascinating planet to reincarnate on. There are other worlds out there that we could be on, but this is the one we've all chosen because we have so many choices once we're here. So understand that the only thing that will hold you back from moving forward is making no choice, is just stagnation. And that's the danger of the Two of Swords, is just sitting there. Two of Swords and Seven of Cups, you can be sort of like frozen because of, Seven of Cups, it's opportunity, and Two of Swords is because lack of clarity. The truth of the matter is you and only you can decide at the end of the day. Just click that button and move forward and see what happens. We also have the Prince or the Sun here in this deck of cups. So as we're looking at relationships this month, It feels like the one thing that we're seeing here is a little bit of a gap. If we hop more than one, I pay attention to that. So if it were a king and a queen, awesome. If it were even like a knight and a queen or a knight and a page, we're good. But when we're kind of like, when we have one in the middle that's missing, what I'm seeing here is control dynamics. And when we're looking at the deep past, it feels like one of the things that you fought for is for your voice, for control, for more independence. So if somebody comes in and is challenging that in the environment, where does it put you? Does it push you back? You really want to make sure that you're not retreading old habits, right? So this could be, again, boss, friend, lover, but we don't want to see you in the outcome as the son. I'd rather see you as the king, the father. So this could also be parent and child or teacher and child kind of energy here as well. So there are dynamics at play. And when we look in the soul path, I'm going to ask, what is the karmic lesson? Because I'm about 90% sure that many of you are in some sort of a karmic exchange right now. And karma has been something that I've been looking at a lot. You can actually look at my last collective reading, which is still kind of, it's pinned to the top of my YouTube page. and we'll look at it today as well, but I talked about karma there. Okay, let me take a quick drink and then we're going to expand the forecast to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. Before I do that, with the Knight of Cups in reverse, one question that I would really like you to kind of look at yourself is, how happy are you? What makes you happy? And what is it that you're trying to do in this lifetime? When I was in graduate school, I just finished my thesis paper and everything, and I was done with everything. I talked to one of my advisors, and he made me laugh because it was a little unsettling. He said, "So now what?" He said, "What are you going to do with your life?" and it kind of took me off guard because I've been so focused on getting the degree that I didn't focus as much on what was next. He was well-intentioned. He actually picked up the phone and helped me get a job. My first quick job. I was only there for a month, but what I learned from that lesson is that as teachers, parents, mentors, friends, we should be checking in with others all the time to just say, like, what's your long-term goal? So for you, as your friend, as your sort of coach here today, as I'm looking at this, I would just want to say, are you happy? What's making you happy? What's not making you happy? How can you work to balance that out? Because that's really what is important before we go into the next part of the forecast. All right, so now we're going to expand. We're going to look at health, wealth, love, destiny, and then I will volley back and forth with the Celtic Cross as needed. Health. I usually read this as an energetic message, then I go into the physical. Okay, so this one is black and white, even though it's a color card here. Meditate. Are you making time to do it? And I think the most important thing that you could do is just even a minute or two. It can make so much of a difference. So before I get started, sometime I should show the ritual that I do before I come in here. But I have 4 candles up there, and I say a prayer with each one of those candles. They're real candles. You should be using real candles if you're meditating, not a battery or operated one. It doesn't work as well. And then I have 2 in that, so 6 total. And with each candle that I light, I say a prayer of protection and intention before I begin. I meditate, and I also kind of clear the space, and I set the intention to connect with the highest light. So all of that takes 2 minutes, 1 minute if I'm fast, but it really takes 2 minutes because I don't want to speed talk. So I can do it in as little as that. Sometimes I'm wordy and I'm doing it for 4 or 5 minutes if I have a lot that I'm doing, but that's it. I meditate before I begin. You can't do this type of work and not meditate. You can't just push play. You can't just push like go live. You have to meditate a little bit. So for you in your daily life, the same thing should be true. Brushing your teeth. You can meditate while you're brushing your teeth. Taking a shower. You can do it there. Don't do it while you're driving your car so much. It can be a sort of meditative. You can think of things and open up to it, but you want to pay attention. It's not safe. You can do it in your car right before you go into work, or in public transportation for sure, because you're not driving. Anywhere that you're walking and not doing something, you can spend a moment to just meditate. So meditate. Before you go to sleep, when you wake up, whenever you feel like it. Little 1-minute meditations, I'd rather you do that than sitting for 30 minutes and falling asleep and thinking I didn't get anything out of that, okay? Let's take a look at additional messages with respect to health that came through. The center one was about balancing out the load in your life, sharing some of that with people that you trust. delegation, basically. Saying yes and saying no when it makes sense, not saying yes or no to everything. Focusing on the physical body, really trying to work out a little bit more. I think that's going to be important right now. Sometimes we don't give our body as much time and energy as it needs. So definitely work on strengthening yourself a bit. And now focusing on this more as a Six of Swords energy, it's about letting go. So if there's something in your life, this is a gentle death card. Sometimes it's just sort of an easing of something. It will get better in time is basically what I would say. So there's an emotional component. And that is actually what's stronger than the body energy right now. It's all of these sort of cups cards that are reversed. So how are you feeling? How are others? Are others sort of pain or stress kind of pushing on you too much? And this is where the balance needs to happen, okay? One thing that you can focus on as you're doing your exercise is to really focus on the solar plexus right around your belly button. So sit-ups, yoga, Pilates, anything. Obviously, you want to always work with your doctor before doing a change in diet or physical activity. But all of that notwithstanding, if you strengthen that part of your body, your core, you're going to be stronger, just like the cactus. When I was doing my research earlier this morning, I was fascinated to find that the Saguaro Cactus has spines in it, kind of has these things that are holding it up so that it can stand up tall. So we want to kind of work on our spinal health, especially with the 10 of Wands at the center, and then the core, because the core of the cactus is a little soft, but it has these sort of spines. So work on what you can for your spine health as well. Okay, let's look at wealth. For those of you that are, I'm going to look at it across different career paths here. So whether you are in school, working, or retired, no matter where you are, this card is cool. It's perseverance. And that's kind of what I wrote way at the beginning about the cacti, is that they are symbolic of persisting and the long path towards success. It's not necessarily about investing in some sort of stock or Bitcoin and getting rich overnight. It's about long and slow path to like the Nine of Pentacles, because that's what's going to be sustaining. So don't expect it to happen overnight. Don't let one thing set you back. Keep on pushing on. So don't give up is the first message. Now let's look at this from some different perspectives. We did get two resource cards, one that was hidden, one that was overt. Let's talk about the obvious one. So basically looking at, I just did my accounting. It's really important to take a look at what you owe, what you project out for the next year, how much you need to work, what's going on. So get a feel for your money. It's not fun. I really hate doing taxes, but I forced myself yesterday all day to work on them so that I was ready for the appointment. And I'm so happy it's over. And I have more clarity on what I need to do and what's possible. So, we got the extension, but I didn't let myself get out of it. I thought, no. And it's good because I had something that was due in a week. So don't ignore your money matters, because you'll be able to understand what you have, what you need, and then you can manifest. And that's why the Magician's in the crowning position. This is the sort of subtle energy card here, which is saying you may have an opportunity that is just under your nose or just around the corner. Don't lose focus. Don't miss an opportunity because you weren't open to it. The Magician is like the key master, the key maker that can open up a new portal. So you have the path to open something up, okay? If you are retired, what we're looking at is, are you happy? Because we had all the cups cards in reverse. I would say you should be doing something that brings you more happiness. And you should also, you don't have to be everything for everyone. So this could be children, grandchildren, or other people in your life trying to get some of your time or resources. You have to really see that as a vital part of you. So no matter where you are on the spectrum, I see growth, but I see a little bit of discipline that's going to be necessary to get to the next level, okay? Discipline and not giving up. Now let's take a look at love and relationships. And love and relationships is going to span the spectrum as well. The card is reversed, so let's pull it up right just so I can read it. We have sadness and isolation. So I'm actually glad that's reversed because it's telling me you're moving past that and into a period of, I would say happiness and hopefully expansion. Just like the cactus that can kind of contract, that's what the wrinkles are in the cactus, or it can expand when there's a lot of rain. Let's get ready for positive expansion in our life. And you're going to have to do some reaching out for that to happen, right? Reaching out and opening up. And we see his heart chakra open, like open arms, right? Even if we can't hug someone, the open arms is about, I'm open to this opportunity, okay? So a gradual lessening from the Six of Swords, strength through surviving and recovering from whatever that was. Now kind of reconnecting with your power and thinking, I'm ready to reach out, I'm ready to receive. If you're single, what I'm seeing here this month is a chance to pull in a really high partner with the Six of Cups. It's good, actually, quite good. The only thing that seems that's off a bit is emotional maturity, or both of you may be a little too focused on your own lives, and it's just sort of off a bit. So it feels like heavy or intense emotion. So we need to kind of change the location, change the communication. A lot of that stuff that I was talking about teaching is about the soul lesson that you could have with a karmic partner. So you're going to have to work a little harder than you normally would. It looks like it could be a good relationship, but both sides are a little bit lost and don't know where to go. So you're going to have to teach, you're going to have to lead, and you have to release this lesson. So don't pull the fire alarm, figure out the karmic lesson, release it, then decide if you want to stick around. That's the weird thing with the soulmate. Sometimes it's not what you want. It's just a teaching lesson. If you are in a relationship, the same sort of indecision could be vexing the two of you. The cool thing here is it looks like you have a lot more in common than you might think. So it's just about maybe deciding where and when you want to kind of give and take. So, not everyone can be the boss all the time. So just taking turns, I think, is what I would say for those of you that are in relationships, and realizing, again, the chemistry that you have. To me, that's the magician. And this is very physical too. This is having fun. So finding a way to just get back to being together and not taking things so seriously, that's going to be important as well. If you are retired, single and happy, or could care less about relationships, let me give you a quick read on that. I would say, I just want you to focus more on personal growth and satisfaction and fulfillment. That seems to be the main message. I really feel like you're going to see some growth happening in the financial sector this month as well. In fact, there's some sort of a hidden blessing. When it comes to people in your life, you're still very magnetic. So I talk about like the Lovers cards, the Two of Cups and the Six of Cups being very magnetic. So you're pulling in the right kind of people. Keep doing what you're doing, okay? Let's now go to your Destiny card, which is trajectory, really. And yeah, a lot of you are impatient for travel. And we have the Six of Swords here too. And it makes sense that this card would be a little bit darker because it's been a while, right? One thing that I would say for you is that we're headed in the direction of things opening up. Just be more like this also reminds me of the Chariot. Slow and steady with this as well. Be very careful. Be very mindful. We're not out of the woods. Now, the other aspect of travel to me is like the World card, globalization and outreach. This is also that, and so is the Ten of Wands. So this can be like commuting, moving. It can also be travel. This is definitely related to going beyond the borders, as is this. So in order to grow in business and personally, some of you need to reach out to people that are not in your family unit, in your state, city, or province or country. So I see an expansion happening, even if it starts virtually. It can eventually be something that is beyond that, okay? So we're gonna quickly review. This is great for those of you that join later. Don't worry, I go through this pretty fast. It's like 3 to 5 minutes. Then we're gonna go into the soul path, where I'm gonna look at some of the challenges that we are having right now. And then we'll move into meditation and the final question that some of you may have. So a quick mini review where I often get additional messages, and then we're going to go into the soul path. So for the mini review, just a reminder, if you joined late, your dual totem this month was the woodpecker, and really almost more so the Saguaro Cactus. And what I saw with this was teamwork and unlikely yet very symbiotic relationships were coming through. And that's also what we saw with the really cool magician at the top here. They're kind of looking over their shoulder at someone or something just on the horizon that's going to make that connection happen. We also saw that with the Six of Cups at the center. The cactus symbolizes longevity, persistence, and adaptability. Definitely the adaptability thing. And I didn't hit on this so much at the beginning, but if something is happening and you feel like, I don't know if I can do this, it's out of my comfort zone. Yes, but you totally will thrive in this particular situation. I feel like you can handle it. You just have to change a little bit. You have to shift the way you've done it. The old way of teaching doesn't work anymore. This particular cactus that we were talking about, the Saguaro one, it can live an average of 150 to 75 years, but the growth is glacial. It's sometimes a few inches or a few centimeters a year. So what it's really showing us is like the little snail in Nine of Pentacles. It's the sort of slow but steady path to growth and abundance. And if we're to kind of like clock where you are in this, being at the Six of Pentacles isn't so bad on the road to Nine of Pentacles. The next lesson for you would be not to fall into an old trap, because Seven of Pentacles would be a test. That's how I read it anyway. It's a test, and if you overcome it, then it's growth and recovery. So don't fall into an old path, and I think that's going to be key. The balancing message of the Six of Pentacles, even though not present, is also really important. We're looking at you trying to have that growth and abundance. Fulfillment is just as important, and your cups cards need to be upright. So when we look at the soul path in just a minute, I'm going to really try to help you with how you can be more fulfilled in both work and relationships. All right. Just like these gentle giants, we're talking about the cacti again, of the Sonoran Desert, you're being asked to rise up and stand tall. In many cases, you're being asked to sort of be the one that people are looking up to, and it could be uncomfortable, but my guides were sort of saying, it's too bad. You have to have confidence this month because people need you. And it may be that you're the one person that can open up this path or this opportunity like no one else can. Grow a thick skin and make fast recovery. You can still thrive. For this, I was thinking of the callus that the cacti will make whenever the birds sort of drill into it. So they can survive that. So can you. You can survive anything. The root system was so important, and we saw that coming in. I was so happy to see that this card popped up. This is showing that sometimes the work within or beneath the surface is even more impressive than what you're seeing above. And that networking is what's going to help you get to the next level, finding love, finding job, etc. Help is closer than you think. You just have to reach out. So you're the one that's going to be doing the speaking this month. Don't be afraid. Persevere, even if you felt like you've been in a sort of desert of opportunity, of love, of whatever. It's okay. New things are on the horizon. Going now to the woodpecker as the totem. Speak up, make some noise, and know that you can actually do that. Sometimes you have to create your own opening, and that's what this does all the time. It can also make its home anywhere it needs to be. And these are kind of like vagabond. This is a vagabond energy here, the 10 of Wands and the 6 of Swords side by side. But this is showing the roots can be transplanted. So if you need to move for work or a relationship, it may work out for you. You just have to make sure that it's something that you want, okay? So again, making your own path. Looking at those practical messages around this could also sort of say it's time to renovate in your own home. Some of you may be thinking of buying something new, and if it's not something that you've constructed, make sure that you get enough inspectors to look at the walls and look at the foundation. There could be something, cracks or holes or something. Going back to the cacti here, those sort of crevices that the woodpecker creates actually become a habitat for things like owls and birds and rodents and other things. So basically, it's a good thing when you can kind of create a better future for someone else. So open up a door, leave that door open. Someone else is going to be able to come through that for the work that you did. We're talking about advocacy here and about changing policies. There's no way that you can't be heard unless you decide to sort of be quiet. So use your voice. Some good things will happen this month. As I said earlier, don't pull that fire alarm. Stay, figure out the lesson, and don't throw in the towel, because some important lessons are underway. You called in this situation. Adjust your teaching or communication methods. I think this is the most important thing. Whether you're literally teaching or this is a relationship and you're trying to find a way to get through to the other person. Just like me, I'm not reading verbatim here. You can use some sort of, like script, but you can't sort of like just read from that. It's important to veer from that and really be present in the moment. Connect with the people on a heart level authentically. Talk with or to, but not at. And there is a difference. Otherwise, you're just dictating if you're not listening. You're just talking to yourself, right? Change the mood or the environment or the way that you're talking, the frequency, and everything else is going to shift along with that. You actually can teach an old dog new tricks. I actually got Apollo here when he was a couple years old. But you have to earn their trust. And that was one thing that he's taught me before is patience and trust, and a lot of love. Be bold, be unconventional. You can apologize later if somebody's upset about something, but it feels like you need to try new things and ruffle some feathers with higher ups or elders, because if the results support you, which I think they will, then that's all that matters at the end of the day. And This was such a beautiful image here that the key isn't broken. I feel like some of you are intentionally letting go of something and you just need to reforge or try a different pathway, right? So really great stuff. Okay, the crone coming through, reminding you of the long sort of goal, the long game, not trying to immediately get gratification. Also, we see a parental energy here with the Father of Cups. So it could be mother and father. It could also just be an elder in your life that's pulling at you quite a bit. So listen to your higher self and figure out what to do. The crow is also saying your intuition will help you even when in black and white you can't figure out what it is with the Two of Swords. 10 of Wands, you're about ready to move on to something big and something new. And it is a period of expansion for you. The only lessons that you have to sort of learn here are balance and separation, letting go. And you can and will thrive anywhere you decide to. The woodpecker can make a home anywhere it goes, basically. So that energy of nomadic sort of adaptability is definitely a part of this. Focus on your personal strength. Also, you got through it. We have him carrying the rose from the death card. So you have the ability to move past this loss or this sort of transitional period and thrive, Magician and Sun, through balancing of resources. Focus on your own emotions and don't get carried away, especially when it gets to decision making or jumping in or out of a relationship. You're going to have to take your time and figure out what feels right for you. And it is about self this month. So focus on, does this make sense for me? For health, simply put, meditate. I want you to focus on how you're carrying the load on things as well, like not just figuratively, but if you are doing manual labor, carrying a purse, briefcase, attache, whatever, make sure that your spinal health is being looked out for as well. And let's see here. Again, just overall balance is going to be important in your life because the Six of Pentacles carries that with it as well. With with wealth, perseverance, don't give up. Again, I feel like you need to calculate out the numbers, and you might even find a hidden resource when you do the number crunching. No matter where you're at, you have enough. You're going to be able to be resourceful, and that's what the Six of Pentacles is saying there. Now for love, it is about breaking the silence. Breaking that key in half too could just say that, you know, if someone's not willing to open up, maybe this is the wrong conduit. Maybe you have to try some other path, some other door. The other things with love is we're looking at emotional heaviness here, and it just feels like one or both of you may need to talk to someone. I think it's too soon to make a big decision. Some of you have already been through it, so don't second guess the decision if you've already done that. Mostly you need to focus on self and happiness and fulfillment. And then travel. Outreach is what I would retitle this card. It feels like you're supposed to reach beyond your current borders so that more things can come through. All right, let's go into the soul path now. And we're going to look at some stuff like, I want to look at the Six of Swords, and I want to see what it is that you've stepped away from. Like, what's the separation? Then we'll look at the emotional component here. So what have you been through? What are you going through? How can you go through it a little bit better? We have the Fool. The Fool is upside down, but I love the Fool. And I love the little bird in this particular illustration. So this reminds me of like a newborn chick or a newborn bird that's still trying to kind of get to the point where it's ready to leave the nest. So it feels like some of you are already on the path. You're out the front door, but you're just a little afraid of what's next. So it's always scary in the beginning. It's always a little dark in the beginning until you start to see the light of day. So with this Fool card, I would say, don't give up. Use your voice and have some fun. The cool thing with the Fool is that there is this irreverent sort of happy-go-lucky energy that it has. And I feel like finding a little bit of that playfulness, which I didn't even see because this is such an abstract version of the Six of Cups. Normally we would see 2 children on this. So we actually have 3 baby cards here. So this is 2 kids usually. This is usually a little baby riding on a horse or a unicorn or something, depending on the deck. And this is the baby of the major arcana. It's the beginning. So this is rebirth. It's a rebirth period for you. So I was asking specifically, what do you need to know about letting go of something? So we have the, again, the rose from death, and then we have this sort of distancing card. I would say you're already through it. Have some fun now. Have fun with being imperfect, with trying something out, with spreading your wings a little bit. So yeah, don't take yourself so seriously, okay? and try to laugh a little bit, try to put a, when I saw in my dream earlier, moving literally the class to the conservatory, this open space, it just felt more playful. It felt more inviting. So I feel like if you can have a little bit more fun and just be a little bit more in the moment, that's going to help quite a bit. Whenever we move forward, you know, there's always a risk. If there's nothing to gain, if there's nothing to lose, there's nothing to gain. So the Fool card is reminding you that sometimes taking that kind of a calculated risk is essential to just development, right? All right, let's look at the emotional stuff that's coming through. Whether you're in a relationship, getting out of one, or just focusing on your personal happiness, what do you need to do? We're going to still look at kind of like connections with others since the Six of Cups is there. So how do we need to focus on you being with others? And if it's a message about yourself, I'll tell you, but let's see. All right, we have Five of Cups in reverse, and it's about perspective. So this is also a mourning card, mourning, like releasing something. So a lot of times when things haven't gone the way we wanted them to, or when something falls away, you have a choice of focusing on what you lost or what you gained or could possibly gain if you redirect. And we need to pay attention to the Magician, who is doing just that. It's redirecting. It's looking in a different sort of area, because that's where the growth needs to be next. So flip your perspective is what I have to say with the relationship. It's there for a reason, or it left for a reason, and you are going to be stronger because of what you're going through or what you just went through. And there's a lot to love and there's a lot to live for, and we're going to look at that next. So now is the Wild card. What's on the horizon? And we're going to use, again, at the end, we'll be picking another card just to see some additional messages that you may have from, or questions that you might have for me. But for this one, it's just, what else do you need to know? Oh my gosh, we got the key. So we have the Hierophant, and I forgot that this particular one has the key. Basically, it's holding the key. This is super synchronicity here. So we have the crow here, and we have another crow here. This crow is holding on to an Ace of Pentacles, or in this case, it could also be, it's not just a pentacle, but it's also a Star of David here. So anyway, what we see is don't lose your faith. Don't lose faith in yourself. Never lose faith in yourself. Never have that lack of self-confidence. You need that this month. Notice everything is holding on to, like all these totems are holding on to something right here. So we see more than once that there is an opportunity, that there is worth, that there's something that you need to focus on. And I saw in my meditation a key that was broken in half. This is a skeleton key. The cool thing with the skeleton key is if it's in a building, it can open any door, right? It's the one key that has the capacity to open everything, which is why my guides were saying, it doesn't matter, just remake it. You always can create the key. You've always had the key. So if you are held back from someone or something, find another way. For instance, like when I was deciding to release my book, I decided to do it independently because the traditional sort of publishing system is a hot mess, and it's hard to get an agent. It's hard to find a publisher. The rights and payment system is not great. So I was like, you know what? I've got the key. Let me just do it. It's done. Let's move on to the next thing. So if you can't find a way, make a way. It's come up more than once, and this is, I don't usually gasp, but I forgot that this card was in the deck, and this is really cool. So the Hierophant, by the way, is typically a structural card, right? This is normally about having to work through the hierarchy. This card was reverse, which is saying, let's shake it up a little bit, which is what I was saying with elders or higher ups. Also, we see a bolt of lightning. Even if this card was upright, it would say, you still need to shake things up a little bit. And you need to move beyond existing structures, all right? So the way to do this may be to leave, may be to go above, may be to sort of go to people around you, the network. Not straight to the boss, around, up, somewhere else. Forget this person. They don't hold the key. You hold the key. I had a boss once that said, if you're not talking to the decision maker, you're talking to the wrong person. I don't remember who she heard it from, so I can't attribute it. But I like that as a message too. So if you're trying to get something done and the person doesn't have the authority, go above, go somewhere else, because that person is not empowered, or they don't feel that they're empowered to get to the next level. But I'm empowering you to take that key, turn it and do some amazing things. All right. We're going to segue into, there are 2 more parts into the reading. I want you to think about a question that you want to ask. I'm going to answer that in just about 2 to 3 minutes. But before I get into that, it feels like we have some new people here. If this is your first time here, welcome. Please hit the subscribe button. I don't know how the YouTube algorithm works. It's crazy. But if you found me today, subscribe so you don't forget where I'm at, because sometimes it won't come back for like months or years. So if you like what you see here, hit the thumbs up, hit subscribe. And later when this is available for replay, do something in the comments below. That sort of, that activity, engagement, helps YouTube serve it up to more people. So I just wanted to say that first and foremost. And before I get into the meditation and then answer your silent question, I want to say that if you'd like to follow me on social media, here are all the different ways that you can connect with me. I'm Nicholas Ashbaugh on all social media. I use stories quite a bit, especially on Instagram, and I usually push them over to Facebook. And I'm starting to do recaps on TikTok, so you can follow me there if you haven't. It's usually a few days behind, but I will do recaps there. I do lives occasionally on Instagram, so it's a good place to follow me if you haven't already. And I'm also on Twitter. Twitter is a slightly different handle. It's @Ashbaugh. Thank you so much. I see we have some new members. I've seen a lot of stickers today. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Even like 99-cent stickers, they help a lot. It helps me continue to buy new card stock and to show up more and do more of these videos. All right, we're going to do a quick 2-minute meditation on you creating a key. And then after that 2-minute meditation, I would like to answer a question that you might have had. I try to be pretty exhaustive in my approach here, but maybe you have a big decision that you need to make. You're trying to sort out, a job opportunity, a moving opportunity, personal development opportunity. Hold that question in your head, especially since we're going to be focusing on a key. And then we're going to answer that. I'll answer that question right after. So the meditation only takes about 2 minutes. Stick around if you can. Remember that one of your messages was literally to meditate, so I can check it off your list if you stick around. And then we're going to get your question answered, and we'll wrap up. Also, like I said, a reminder that I'm going to have a collective. I have 2 this month. I have one this Thursday, and then I have one on the last Sunday of the month. I don't have all the dates in front of me, but I'll pop them up at the end when we're kind of finished. But yes, check out my website for details. I pinned a link there as well. Okay. I want you to focus on, I like that we saw so many birds this month. So you can see yourself as a crow. You can see yourself as a woodpecker. I don't care. The woodpecker could be interesting because you can get out of a situation. So let's imagine that you are trying to break through. Maybe you're trying to get a job. Maybe you're an actor and you're trying to get hired. Maybe you're trying to find love. Whatever it is, you're trying to sort of be seen and make something happen. See the barrier in front of you and imagine that you have the capacity to either like knock through it with one symbolic punch, or if you want to see yourself as the woodpecker, kind of really kind of pushing that energy through. Perfect. First things first, let's spread your wings out for a second and feel that you are stronger than you may think. Take a deep breath. Exhale. See a circle of light protecting you as we begin this meditation. And now imagine that you have all the strength and power to push through, to open the door, to create a key. And if you would like to go more symbolically here, you can imagine that you're holding a key in your hand. Maybe you've broken it, maybe it's not working, maybe that door won't open. All you have to do, if you'd like to kind of go more symbolic, is meditate on the key. Some of you are going to be using the woodpecker mentality. Some of you will be just holding this key. And imagine that you're reforging it or reimagining it, and then we're going to open the door if you haven't already. All right? So I'm going to play this for about 1.5 minutes. We'll wrap it up, and then I'll answer the question that you may have for me right afterwards. If you're holding the key, imagine that as you hold it in your hands, the heat and the light is forging it into something new. If you're breaking through a doorway, imagine now that you have the capacity to completely knock down that wall. All right, I'd like you to take a moment now and imagine that you are holding that key, and you can, if there's a door in front of you that you've revealed, you can open it up. If you've already pushed through using your own imagery, hold that key for a moment, and take your hands, rub them together. Imagine that you could put the key right on your heart, and then hold that in place. Imagine that you're imprinting that key in your heart so that anytime you need it, all you have to do is connect with the feeling that I need this, I want this, I'm ready, and you can open up opportunities left and right. All you have to do is feel it within your heart. And now I just want you to hold in whatever it is that you want me to look at. Hold the idea in your heart as well. And imagine that you're holding the key. So you're just as powerful as I am here in being able to help you decode it. But ask a silent question. What is it that you need help with? What did you tune in today hoping to learn? I will read it both as a yes, no, for those of you that need that. I'm also going to read it as a much more kind of nuanced message. So let me just see what's coming through. You can open your eyes if you're ready. All right. So we have the Five of Pentacles. And the Five of Pentacles has to do with self-worth. So as a yes, no, this is a more complicated answer. What I would say to you with the Five of Pentacles is you have to realize there's a reason we put this on your heart, the key on the heart. It's really important with this card. You already have that which you seek. The answer is yes, but you can't see that it's a yes. And if you don't believe in yourself, others won't. So it's a yes only if you trust yourself, only if you feel like you're truly ready and deserving of the opportunity that's in front of you. It's yes also if you're going to have to let go of something from the past. It could be pain from a familial kind of relationship, disappointment. There's something there that is kind of chipped away at your net worth, yourself and net worth. So I want you to realize your true energy is actually the Six of Pentacles. So the spread already showed me that it was a yes, but I see doubt. So erase the doubt and it stays a yes. Keep the doubt and it remains a no. Other elements of the Five of Pentacles. Some of you have a family member or a friend that desperately needs help, but they don't want help. So again, we can't force it with the Five of Pentacles. Normally you would see a child and a mother, you would see some sort of a sanctuary behind them, usually a church, and they don't reach for each other. They're turning in opposite directions, just like we saw with the magician here. So what you can try to do is shift perspective, but you can't force it with someone. For yourself, love yourself, work past the fear from the past, the pain from the past, and realize that you've already learned the lessons of this rose here. So just move on and move forward and invest in yourself. Financially speaking, you need to be smart about things. What I saw in the general spread was that you have more than enough, but this can be sometimes about stretching too far. It can also be about someone that constantly asks for money, but doesn't reinvest, doesn't give back. So if you're going to lend money this month, it's not lending, it's giving. So you would just gift it, and then you would say, this is it, don't ask again. You have to kind of put your foot down because it feels like someone's tapping your resources more than they need to. And one final note, because I can get a lot from the Five of Pentacles, it's really important for you to focus on your legs, particularly circulation. And for those of you that might be recovering after an injury, making sure that you get the proper rehabilitation. And then for everybody, making sure that you pay attention to where you're walking, because we have a couple cards here that can show that. The Fool reverse can be tripping, and then the Five of Pentacles can be recovering after something's gone on with your legs. So focus on circulation, joint health, and overall sort of just lower extremity strengthening overall, okay? So that was a lot that came through with the Five of Pentacles, but there you go. One last thing, because we have this beautiful rose on it, and the lion here is holding this rose as well. Roses are very kind of interesting flowers. They take a lot of work. They're beautiful, but they do have thorns on it. We all have thorns. So, and we were looking at a cactus, which has those sort of barbs on it as well. Just because someone comes off that way doesn't mean that that's truly who they are. Sometimes people who are a little bit thorny, they're doing that to protect themselves. That's actually what a cactus does. That's also what a rose has done here. So there could be someone in your life, it could be you as well, who has developed these sort of thorns or barbs. And the encouragement this month is to let the guard down a little bit, let people in, open up your heart, look around, because there might be something beautiful just on the horizon. Really beautiful messages. I knew it was going to be this month because there was so much that came to me last night. So I did my best to convey it to you. I hope you enjoy. Just a quick review of this, and then I'm going to wrap up. So we had the Fool card coming in saying it's time for you to spread your wings. For those of you starting something new, it's always a little bit wobbly at the beginning. Don't dismay. Again, the first 3 cards in your soul path were reversed, but I'm just going to try to read them as optimistic ones. So for the 5 of Cups here, it's really about looking at what you can control, what is within reach, not focusing on what has been lost. This was kind of an aha moment for me because it was synchronistic. But we have the Hierophant coming through saying you've held the key all along. There's no one else that has to open the door but you. And if you can't do it where you're at, you might have to go somewhere else. You have to fly, because we have a lot of birds today, a lot of birds. And then finally, we went into great depth on this. But I see that, yes, you have what it takes, but there's something here. A little bit of cleaning up that has to happen with self-confidence, self-worth, forgiveness, and that sort of thorny exterior. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful reading today. So great to see so many new faces. I hope those of you that enjoyed this will hit the like button. I see we have about 1/3 of the amount of people that are here. So if some of you could hit the like button, I'd appreciate it. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. I don't want you to unsubscribe if you're subscribed. Just hit it if you haven't already. Opt into notifications if you'd like. A couple quick notes on how you can connect with me if you ever want more information. You can go to my website if you want news and info on past readings, how to contact me. I have limited availability, but I do readings, so you can check that out as well. You can also, like I said, follow me on social media if you haven't already. All of my links are here. And also, I know my moderators have been putting the links up. And applauding is great if you watch this on replay. I see some of you are still doing super chat and super stickers, so thank you. I'll be using a new deck tomorrow, thanks to you. The join button should be right underneath the video. Sometimes it's also in the super chat area. So if you want to become a channel member, you can. And I also have a book. If you like fantasy and science fiction, it's right behind me. It's called The Luminous Ones. It's available worldwide. It's only in English, but you can get it almost anywhere. This is what it looks like. People that like Dune, Lord of the Rings, would probably enjoy this. A Wrinkle in Time, but this is much more complex than Wrinkle in Time. But those are some genres and some examples where I think you might enjoy it. So that is everything for today. I will be back again tomorrow for Libra, and I'll be back again Thursday for a collective. And you can get the rest of the schedule on my website. And I know my moderators have put out all of those links. So thank you so much. Again, thanks to Dakota and Maria for showing up and helping me today. And good to see so many new faces today. I hope you guys have a great Sunday. I'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Lots of love and light to you. And Apollo just woke up. Hey, buddy. Yeah, we're going to go for a walk right afterwards. So anyway, thanks, guys. See you soon. Bye-bye.